Hey, what is going on? You are watching and, of course, listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition. Happy Hump Day. I am your host, Stevie. This is episode 489, alongside partner in crime co host Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. I'm on location today.
Across town from Brooklyn.
I'm in Brooklyn, darling.
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, we've got a packed show for you, including a special guest. He's been on the show before, sex and intimacy coach Finn Deerhart. He'll be on in a little bit. So much to talk to him about.
Yes.
A major giveaway announcement as well coming up shortly.
Ooh.
Stay tuned for that. But first, I want to do some shout outs. People that listen, watch the show. First shout out goes to Andrew E., who messaged me on Instagram about his European gay cruise. So it's a different one than Vacaya. He said it's a lot like Vacaya and a lot like Atlantis, but it's called La Demence, I believe it's called. And
Okay.
it went out of Italy. It was a Royal Caribbean cruise, he said it was. But the good news was they had also a naked deck and red light district as well. And so, yeah.
I'm loving that.
Yep. So shout out to Andrew. Also, Chris B said he's excited that you, Kodi, and myself will be on the Vacaya Mexico Resort in Puerto Vallarta. That's coming up October 29th through November 5th. More info on that in a second. But it's Chris's and his partner's second year doing this trip. And he and his partner are dedicated listeners. So thanks, Chris. And lastly, he was watching us live. Jin, we call him Jin, has joined our Patreon, and we thank you. We saw that yesterday as that came in, or this morning, I think I saw it. And I really appreciate that. You can also always support the show if you want to as well. And you can do so by going to our Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/TAGSPodcast, where you get special perks. You can message us on there. You will get an after show when we do those. We're going to start those up again and some other great things. So thanks, Jen, and hit up our Patreon to support Tags Podcast. Okay. Cody and I were at the Naked Beach yesterday.
I love how you call it the Naked Beach.
I call it the Naked Beach. We were at the beach yesterday. Okay, but it was the Naked Beach. But listen, there's an article out right now, the 10 best gay nude beaches in the world. And out of the 10, our beach that we went to, Sandy Hook, Gunnison,
to be beach.
Yeah, I call it ours. It's mine. Made the list. It says a short ride from New York City, Gunnison is a great spot to be. Let it all hang out with pride, which we did.
We did.
It's part of an army base, which is really interesting, and I think Cody was a little surprised by that because you called it like an old ghost town, or was
no? It looks like a murder cult. Like we're going into a murder cult. I was like, I'm a little scared. I would not like to do this at night. It was freaky. I was scared because I was like, is this Amityville? Is this a horror movie?
Well,
I don't know what's going on.
So it's an old army base where soldiers used to apparently skinny dip, and it's been popular naturalist destination since the 70s, and New Jersey's only legal nude beach for over a decade. And since it's technically federal land, you can't do things like drink, although we kind of got past that.
There's ways around that, darling.
There's ways around that. We're not saying anything, but you got to be discreet. We went with a friend of ours, but I got to ask you, Cody, as going to a naked beach, how did you feel about taking it all off? Because you were a little bit skeptical at first.
Yeah, it was my first time. So I was definitely a little reluctant at first. But once you get out there and you get comfortable, you just let it all hang out. I never knew that I had such an affinity for being naked in public. It makes me want to go out and experience nudity in other places where it's legal to be nude, because I don't want to get arrested. I'm not trying to get arrested, but I am trying to be nude in public. Yes.
Yes, and I have to say there's such a camaraderie that you experience at either a gay, open LGBTQ type of beach. Often you don't even know where those lines are on where it begins, but if you look around, you'll see your people. And I found
And
it
we
very
saw,
easy to
yeah,
talk to people and to just very convivial to having a fun experience like that. And you really, yes, you get over being naked, but you also do notice it too, and you see all shapes and sizes of dick, and that's fun, I think. It's kind of, some
we
people
saw
go
one from
people.
behind. We saw one
Yeah.
dragging in the sand. We saw all shapes and sizes. It was great.
Drag it in the exactly, right. Oh my gosh.
Oh man, I had a
Definitely.
field day yesterday. I had a really great time.
You definitely did. And okay, well, we also have to talk about let's move on to our brand new giveaway. And we're super excited. We mentioned that we are going to be on the Vacaya the Vacaya 2023 Mexico Resort Vacation in Puerto Vallarta,
Oh yeah.
October 29th through November 5th. You guys can join us. We are going to be live with this show on November 1st and live on location. So we want some of you to join us there for the whole week. Like I said, it's in Puerto Vallarta. There's a red light district. That's going to be a lot of fun. I, of course, will be on that boat. It's on a
I will
boat,
too.
actually. But we got to tell you, we've got a giveaway for one of our listeners to take advantage of. One of our listeners will actually win a trip, an all expense paid, minus the flights, y'all, but it is all inclusive. And all you got to do is fill out our form, our survey form.
Hmm.
And it's just a couple questions plus some fun questions. For you watching live, I put it in the conversation chat that you can fill out. We will pick a winner next month. Kodi and I, we haven't picked a date yet, but in September, right? I think we should pick
Yes.
our winner,
Yeah.
and
So
we'll
they can
do
get
it.
prepared because it's
Yeah,
Halloween too. So.
but one of you will win a trip and get to join us, and we'll probably bring you on stage too if you're willing to.
Oh wow, that'd be so much
Yeah, I
fun.
think so for our live. Yeah, so enter it. If you're listening to this podcast, simply go to TAGSPodcast.com and look for giveaway Vacaya 2023 Mexico Resort Vacation in Puerto Vallarta. Click on that, fill on the survey. Once you fill out the survey, you are automatically entered in to win, and we will announce a winner next month. But for those of you that want to take advantage of it, you can get up to $200 off. Go to tagspodcast.com. You can just join us right away and enter our promo code TAGS, TAGS, and you'll get up to $200 off the entire vacation. So we want to see some of you there. So
Oh
let's
yeah.
do it.
It's going to be
Yes.
great. Steve and I are so excited. We already have our Halloween costumes all ready and prepared.
Yes.
We
I
were
know.
pre-planning yesterday, so just come visit us.
When
We're
should
going to
we
have an
tell people, and
amazing
what
time.
should we like unveil that at a
No,
later date?
you don't want anybody to see your costume,
Okay, okay,
Steve.
got it. All right. All right. Well, we have got to let's switch gears here. And we mentioned the other day the sad loss of O'Shea Sibley on if you remember the story, we were talking about it on episode 488. O'Shea Sibley was out with his friends last weekend. They were at a gas station. If you haven't heard the story already, filling up gas. O'Shea and some of his friends were having fun and voguing in the gas station, right,
Hmm.
Kodi?
Yeah.
When somebody that I don't know where he was doing there, but he was only 17 years old, and a bunch
Yeah,
of
he came
others.
in front of
They
them, yeah.
said we're Muslim and we don't believe in gayness, and so basically it started this whole kerfuffle between the two groups. Well,
Yeah.
that's escalated, and sadly, it ended in the death stabbing of O'Shea Sibley.
Hmm.
And there's a couple things we wanted to follow up with, but Beyonce actually paid tribute to O'Shea on Tuesday on her website. She's currently on her world tour here in the States right now, but Sibley was stabbed to death, like we told you. And she wrote on her website, actually, "Rest in Power," using his
Yeah.
full name, and because that's essentially what her new album's all about, right?
Yeah.
Voguing and all of the music for the new album that she's currently on tour for. So, and it's crazy because the suspect, who police say is only 17 years old, ran from the scene. He's still at large. And so if anybody knows anything, you need to speak up. Watch those videos if you're in the area, in the Brooklyn area or nearby, because we can't have him out there like this. This is just awful. But I know, Kodi,
Yeah.
you wanted to mention that there
Yes.
is, if you're here in New York, what did you want to announce?
There's a memorial and there's a march starting at the center. The address is 208 West 13th Street in Manhattan between 7th and 8th Avenue. The memorial starts at 6 p.m. We'll start marching at 8 p.m. So if you want to just do the march, come before 8 o'clock and you'll be just fine. And we will march to the pier where O'Shea used to feel the most free. So it's
And they
going
said
to be,
if you want to vogue, you can vogue your way to the
Yeah.
pier, because that was one of his favorite things, to do, dance. And I think I might join you as well. And it's
I
Saturday.
hope so.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and get as many
Candlelight.
people as possible. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we
the-
should all be doing what we can to make sure that this gets enough attention, because this is happening too often. And I think that this is kind of a turning point, and we really need to do what we can to make sure that it doesn't get buried.
Absolutely. So, okay. Switching gears here. There is a festival outside of Berlin in Germany that caught my attention. You're never going to guess why it caught my attention, but it's a massive gay festival. Think Fry Fest, and you know how that went down. It's called the Whole, WHOLE, Whole Festival. It's billed as a multi-day celebration of queer euphoria.
Wait, is that what it's really called?
It's really called the Whole Festival, not HOLE, but the whole. But that's a play on words in a minute, because you're gonna
Okay.
laugh when you hear the story. It's a 3-day event. It included camping, workshops, art installations, and performances from dozens of German and international DJs. And sounds fun, except when I heard this, they actually tried this out for the first time. They created a douching station. You heard me right. A pilot experiment. The organizers wanted to set up an area in which revelers could properly prep themselves for sex, douche themselves. For €5 per visit, partygoers were given a douching attachment for the shower head, and then instructed to clean the shower stall thoroughly before returning the attachment to staff for proper disinfection. Whatever that means, I don't know. But, quote, please,
Proper disinfection. Do you trust that? I don't know.
They wrote, please help to keep this service nice and clean. The advertisement read, we don't want to create a shit situation for the staff helping out with this. And it's a real, actual, I read the whole card. Did you read it too? I mean,
I read it.
They were serious about this. It actually got shut down, as you can imagine. They claim
why.
They claim it was for a mechanical reason and not why people were saying it, because a lot of people were saying that is so not sanitary. And they were saying things like, I hope it wasn't near the food court. The gays never surprise me. What were some of the other comments? When you're nearly at the front of the deuce queue and it smells like sulfur and despair up ahead.
Oh, no.
I know.
Why?
We could go on and on with all the. I'll post some of these comments on TAGSPodcast.com so you could read it. Somebody wrote, this is just chaotic, but I mean,
I say,
do you need to just be ready to go before you go to one of these things, Kodi? I mean, come on. I'm about to write an article on what to pack for a fetish weekend, but this is crazy. You don't douche at the party.
No. That is rule number 1. Don't douche at the party. You douche at home with Summer's Eve and maybe a little bit of baking soda like a lady. No, don't do that. That will cause
Summer's Eve. What year is this?
But yeah, this is a shitty mess. literally, and I don't. It's completely unsanitary, and I can't believe they thought that it would be a good idea because I just think that it's really ridiculous. And yeah, no, never, never, never again. So
It
I'm
sounded like it
actually
was popular too, like people were actually doing this, and I'm wondering who
I want to
comes.
test those people for I don't know what.
Exactly. I mean, you just go to the party prepared. That's all you do. I mean,
Exactly.
just go
Douche at home
prepared.
like a lady.
Yeah, right. I'm more on this to come. Would you use this station, this douching,
Should I
not
make a
you, but
poll?
yeah, do a poll and we'll read it at the end and we'll
Okay.
ask listeners to take it as well. Would you participate if you were going to this festival? Would you participate in, I mean, let's play this out a little bit because if you're camping, you got to assume that there are not proper bathrooms. And so maybe
Uh-huh.
they were thinking a lot of people don't have a private bathroom, perhaps, and they're not going to want to clean themselves out in a communal bathroom, perhaps. We don't know what the situation was in terms of camping. It doesn't sound like it was a five-star hotel resort that these people were at. So we know that
Not in the slightest.
there wasn't a bidet to be had, and I think, yeah, no. So they were in some ways they were roughing it, but Doug says they lost me at camping douche station. Hell no. Okay, you already answered the question. Yeah, they lost me at camping. So yeah, I've had people try and tell me that I should really go to what's one of those festivals here in America that people are camping and it's a whole thing that happens every year. Oh, I
Like
can't.
governor's ball? When I'm
No,
not quite sure.
like out in Arizona or somewhere out there. It's one of those. Anyway,
Oh,
yeah, one of
Burning
those.
Man.
Burning
Burning
Man. Yeah,
Man
I've had people.
or Coachella. Do they camp at Coachella?
I don't know, but there's a lot of dirt. I know that for sure, and they're not too well up there. So
You said that like with complete disgust.
yeah, right.
So I shouldn't invite you to Coachella or Burning Man, is what you're trying to tell me.
You should not. You should not.
Okay.
And there is a new documentary that is free. You can watch it on YouTube. I'll post this on TAGSPodcast.com. In fact, I'll actually post the link right now in the chat. And Teddy, Alexis, who often hosts with us, sent it to me. I watched a part of it. What really happens in a gay sauna? LGBTQ plus I documentary. It's a British documentary. It's really enlightening in many ways, and in other ways not. The part that I saw was actually a straight guy that has to clean the the bathhouse the
Mhm.
next day,
Okay.
and all the things that he sees. And in one scene, he has to go through every single towel and examine it and look for stains and actually spray it. And he's been working there for 6 years. But
Yeah.
it
I thank him for his service. His service.
yeah, exactly. Thank you for your service, man, mister. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, take the poll. The poll is live. We have
Poll
one
is
more.
live, y'all.
Yeah. Ginger Minge, who has been on RuPaul's Drag Race. What season, Cody? Because I know you're a fan.
Oh my gosh, she's season 7, actually. I know, and she was on All Stars
Exactly.
2, All Stars 2 and 6. I will have to do a little bit of research, but I'm
Okay,
pretty sure
well,
that's
pretty
correct.
good. She made it all the way to the finale on the 7th season and the 6th season of All Stars.
Yeah, I was right. I was
Okay, yeah.
completely right.
Nice. Well, since she's been on TV, she's been working it. Hustling is her big message. And during this past Pride Month, Minge kicked off her "I Am What I Am" campaign with the release of her cover and a powerful video for the iconic song "I Am What I Am." If you know anything, it comes from La Caja Falls, the musical. She's currently released that song. 100% of the proceeds will go directly to the Drag Defense Fund and the ACLU.
Mhm.
Quote, to me, Pride has always been about being proud of your community and trying to uplift them, not about making the money. I've been very blessed with this platform. I've had to turn out an entire campaign that benefits the community. So I love that. And you can currently see Ginger Minge in her new show in P-Town, Provincetown, which is so much fun. I saw her, I believe her first year there, and she's now in her third year, and it's called The Broad's Way. New show, and it's hilarious. You got to see her if you happen to be out there. Do not miss it at all, and maybe download the music too, because so happy about that.
Love the glamour toad. She's the best. So she's so talented. I bet her show is so fun.
Absolutely. Well, it's time to bring up our very special guest, and I'm talking about sex and intimacy coach Finn Deerhart. Finn, if you want to jump on the stage, so happy to have him here. He's been on the show several times. You may recognize him or have heard him. Sex and intimacy coach Finn Deerhart, and we have some new things that we're going to be talking about. But let's say hi to Hey Finn, how you doing?
Here he is. Hey.
What's up, fellas?
Hello,
Thank you so much for
hello.
having me back on here. I love being here.
Oh, we love having you.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Fan favorite for sure.
Oh, you
Definitely.
guys are fucking awesome. I love what y'all are doing.
We have so much to talk to you about, but you send out a newsletter, and one of the things I just wanted to read a little bit, it was entitled something that you wrote called Shining Like Gold,
Hmm.
The Weave of Grief and Sex. And I'm just going to read the end of it. I want everybody to, I'll post what you wrote on TAGSPodcast.com, the whole thing, because I want everyone to read it. You
Hmm.
said, when my love is close, I am like jewels in his palm. When he pulls away, I again become my father's disowned son. Yet it's this very dance of extremes that our love unearths. I am just beginning to oscillate therein with joy. To not pack the car and drive away when I'm feeling broken. Today, I'm standing firmly in my own feet. He and I are midway through our 7th year together. Often, I've waited for him to rescue me from my father's grasp, to fill me up where nothing can reach. But the deeper we go, the more painful it's become to mine him for riches. Not because love isn't enough, but because the further I claw, I learn again and again that all along the treasure has been within me.
Wow.
When will I stay with myself? The mirror is always there. A few nights ago, we were in mid conflict about sex, the source of nearly all of my conflicts with every significant other I've had ever. I'm beginning to understand what, for me, that really means. And that was so beautifully written. And if
Mhm.
you will let people read the beginning of it, but you're actually talking about your father at the beginning and a chest
Mhm.
that he had that you asked your grandmother to pull out when you were young. And it was a brown chest that you actually put painted and
Mhm.
put mirrors on and put stones on it and made it your own. That part of the story is beautiful in and of itself. And I have a
Yeah.
piece of my father's. It's a shoe, one of those old where you shine your shoes, and I haven't done anything to it. It sits
Mm.
there, and I always look at it, and I know my mom wants it back, but it reminds me of my dad,
Aw.
and I'm thinking of making it my own as well, like you did. Can you just talk a little bit about that, and then about your relationship, what you were talking about in what I read?
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing my writing in, but yeah, you fucking dads, dude.
Yeah,
Oh,
Ugh,
my my
right.
father's a
man.
fundamentalist minister in Texas, and we won't say his name. We're not sending him, hate mail. But
Yeah.
he's
Right.
very opposed to gay people, and he's just really difficult to deal with. And we don't really have a relationship anymore. We've had a couple moments where we started to kind of, but I'm still not sure how to be in relationship with him, knowing what he stands
Right.
for, and like, I mean,
Mhm.
just yeah. So, I mean, I think I've waited most of my life for people. I mean, really, being pursued is like really important, or has been important to me. Like being pursued by people, and I've always wanted him to come after and say he's sorry for everything that happened and for disowning me, and that's not going to happen. So the
Right.
more
Mhm.
I wait on that, the more I stay disempowered and just learning. I don't know if it's like this age that I'm at. I'm 43, and just like this is my body, my life, and I can keep waiting on these things. We transfer that onto our boyfriends,
Got it. So
right?
that's where
And to
the
our sex
ending
person.
came.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
road.
We
Yes.
think, oh yeah, me and dad we're but it's really like, in romantic relationship where all the stuff that you have not really dealt with or don't know how to deal with, it comes to the surface. And the majority of people feel disillusioned when that happens and they want to break up and move on to somebody else. But really, that's when like the fire happens that can transform you if you have the right resources or if it's the right connection. You know, a conflict is the growth path. And so I just have come to some awarenesses recently about all the shit I was really putting on my partner that I'm like finally like, oh, that's me. Okay, you know, in a new way. So
And then why does it show up for you in sex
oh,
often with all of your partners, including, I guess, the one you're in right now?
you know, that's for a lot of queer people because sex is such a thing that we identify with, right? It's like a central piece of our identity.
Yep.
And in some ways, it's a strength. We really bring
Superpower.
it is a superpower, and then it's born
Yeah.
of pain. It's like that's the
Yep.
thing is like it was born of a deep pain and like a severing from many people, from families and from culture, and like fought hard to get there. And it also for everybody, there's challenges around sex, and a lot of people don't want to talk about that because it's embarrassing, or we have to face humiliation as men to be like, oh yeah, I have fucking issues around sex, and
Mhm.
everybody does, everybody.
Yeah. Mhm.
So when you get in a partnership, you know, all the ways that we dodge those feelings of humiliation and like feeling really shitty about ourselves is, you know, in the gay culture, we're like, oh, well, just get yourself another one. You know, you just get, you
Yeah.
gotta like,
Move
you can do
on.
that. Yeah. Or just have
Next.
fun.
Yeah.
It's
Or
just
Right.
so easy, and it's such an easy trap to fall into. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, interrupt me, please. Yeah. I mean, and I don't want to even name it as a trap because for a lot of people, it's a necessary route to safety and to have permission to do this thing that you know culture has said we're not supposed to do, you
Mhm.
know. And it's both and, right? It's like, well, so we also can limit ourselves and how much we can access from ourselves when we really need a male's validation to feel good about ourselves. And so in relationships, yeah, I mean, even in open relationships, like boyfriends really struggle to kind of come to terms with what they've been through on the way to the relationship, and it all comes back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would almost seem like I mean, we're all drawn. I was thinking about this today. We're all drawn to relationships, whether, cisgender, non-binary, I mean, wherever you are on any spectrum, we're all drawn at just because of we want relationships and connection.
We need
But
them.
we need them, but I don't think we think about the work that it entails and how it's maybe going to bring up things at times. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and in our modern times, like, we don't have like, we are living in it's a paradox, right? We are living in times where we have so much, like, choice, and we can do this, and we can move here, and we can move there, and we don't have to live in these local places, and we have a fluid kind of life compared to our ancestors. So with that comes a lot of, freedom that we're like, you know, I wanna move to New York or move to San Francisco and be gay, and no, you know, that isn't a choice that people a long time ago had.
Right.
Um, and it's also it comes with its own set of complications and like a lack of frame of meaning in our lives in a way that when you lived in a town with your family and the rituals and everything, there was a meaningful frame for life and the grief process and the thing that we're all in.
Mhm.
If we forget about that, like, oh yeah, we're dying. So, but then like, you know, and in gay culture, there's like this perpetuation of I call it kind of like a Peter Pan kind of thing. Like, I don't want to deal with those things. It's really hard. And I've already had to beat through a lot of hard, you know, when people say like, you know, oh, that's heavy, girl. Don't talk, you know, and like, it's
Yeah.
only heavy if
Yeah.
you're carrying it by yourself. Let's all pick it up, you know?
Oh,
So
wow. That is
yeah.
beautiful. I really love that. Uh,
Mm,
so I am newly single. I'm just out of a relationship, and I was wondering what you recommend to get in touch with your needs and your wants and your sexuality, because I know that when you're in a relationship, it's kind of easy to focus more on your partner, or I feel like if you're a good partner, then you are balancing your needs and your partner's needs. So what would you say in order for someone to get more in touch with their sexuality and who they are?
I love that question, Cody. I
Oh,
would say
thank
go
you.
into,
I wrote it
yeah,
myself.
right. Well, here's very customized to every person. Like your fantasy life tells you what it is that you need. And I don't mean like most people when they think fantasy, they go, "Oh, do I want to do it or do I not? Do I act this out or do I?" It's not like that. I mean, that's a great discussion to have, and maybe we want to do it, maybe we don't. But it's like implicit in all of our fantasies are the dynamics that we need
Yeah.
emotionally. So the emotional feelings and the scenarios and stuff that we like. Like for instance, do you have a fantasy that you they kind of like rely on? That's
I have
a
many.
what's a go-to? What's a go-to for you? What's like a tried and true when you want to come fantasy?
The tried and true is probably tying somebody up and tying somebody down. I love that one. Yeah.
See that? Okay, so it's something about ropes. Yeah, rope
Yes.
and like the
And
control. Say more.
and the control. I said in an episode previously that I'm a control freak kind of sort of. So in giving up control and having that type of control over someone else is kind of it's erotic basically.
So you can't. I mean, see how you're already in it. Like it's like in What Are My Needs? So something around like playing with control, and also what the control bulwarks you against. So like deeper work around like most people when it comes to like tying up and tying down. It's if I tie you down, I don't have to be afraid of being too much
Or you leaving.
yeah,
There.
all kinds of
Mm.
you could go all kinds of places. It's not like a formulaic piece, but
Yeah.
it's like, what's the emotional script underneath there that enlivens that fantasy for Kodi or anyone who feels that way? And this is why we can do a fantasy, we can act it out, and it may feel like, well, that was kind of weird. That wasn't fun because it may not actually hit the spot that we needed to hit.
Yeah.
If we're not aware of what it is that we're wanting in it, have you done that before? Like acted out a fantasy?
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know. I
Yes.
thought that was going to be really
I'm a little disappointed.
Because it can feel like acting or not
Yeah.
real, especially if if someone's new to you, and yeah, it's not your real partner if you do it with a professional. Yeah.
Totally, because there's an emotional substrate to all of our fantasies that are like about the dynamics that I need to access feelings. And so we come out of our childhoods feeling guilty and worrisome and a little bit of anxiety around our sexuality and just different in the ways that we fantasize contains the formulas that we need to overturn all those feelings that would actually inhibit us from feeling pleasure if we were just to be overwhelmed by them. So we change ourselves in our fantasies. We become people that in our daily lives we don't know exactly how to be sometimes. But that can be a growth path because we go, oh, how do I get to be this guy who in my fantasies is whatever, is more expressed, is a little more free, and then that can be really fun. So it's a depth work around like where, in answer to your question, your needs are embedded in the imagery that you hold and that you project onto guys and to yourself.
Okay, so explore more about what I fantasize about, basically.
Totally.
Yeah, cool. Perfect.
And we are live, and somebody wrote in based on what we're talking about. What is the difference between Malibu wrote? What is the difference between needing to be in control and being the one with power? Power versus control. Is there a difference?
That's a good question. And I would say it's probably different for different people. Because for some people, needing control, I mean, I would say it's a kind of agency, right? Like there's a kind of like, there's a power in being control. And we all have to have control.
Right.
We say like, but we want to give it up at some point to be able to experience more expression and more freedom. So if someone's trying to take it away from us before we're ready to give it up, that doesn't feel good. But there's a power in having control. There's also a power in letting it go.
Yes.
There's a power in also recently I've become more comfortable, even with people that I meet and have a connection with, to have a meaningful connection, even if it's just 24 hours. And within that 24 hours, I've been expressing many of my fetishes, and where in the past I wouldn't have done that before. And 9 times out of 10, if the chemistry's right, we do it. And it's a power of releasing my power and expressing a fetish that I have, or even if it's just like connecting and holding each other tight after sex the whole night long, being vulnerable, releasing that power, but also saying what I want as well.
Well, are you like in a growth spurt? Like it seems like you're kind of like
it's been in a growth spurt recently with those I come in contact with. So yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be shy.
I know now all of a sudden.
Into it.
Yes, I have been. And so I was just relating to that question too, that sometimes power can be relinquishing what you want, which can be very vulnerable and feel like not in control, but actually it can be very powerful in the way you express it.
I love what you said, and it just actually brought up for me too, like the vulnerability piece, right? We think of it often, we've been at least socialized to think of it as pitted against power. But there's nothing more powerful to me than not needing to uphold some fucking script around masculinity, just being in your vulnerability. What a power to be like, what a relief from that burden.
Yeah.
Yes,
You know?
But it's so
absolutely.
difficult. I feel like a lot of people have issues with being vulnerable and actually expressing who they are and what they want out of life to other people. So, yeah.
I know.
What do you
I
say
think
about that, and how can people
Yeah.
overcome that type of thing?
Oh, that's so tough too. Because we think again, like big context, like queer people and everything we've been through, the vicarious trauma, even it's going on now. I mean, there's not like a lot of messaging around you are safe in your body.
Mhm.
And it takes like being around people who feel like we're, safe with to let our vigilance down. I think when noticing when we're like kind of like numb, or noticing when we are overworking, or noticing we're like missing a sense of zeal for life, that's a signal for us to go inward and be like, what do I need to get deeper? Because most of us have these external lives that we live,
Mhm.
and there's like something's missing. What is that? It's like this, again, I was kind of talking about meaning and frame for life. Like, what's the fucking point if I can't like live into like what wants to come through me and what wants to be touched and contacted? And we all feel that some deep place inside. And it's I think it's really tough. But I would
Yeah.
say find community, talk about these things with people, brave the conversation like you're having, and you'll find people that say, oh my God, me too. And it's affirming.
Yeah.
We should talk about a lot of the work that you're doing. You have a lot of retreats coming up. We'll talk about them in a second. I wanted to just tap into a little bit of the power of touch and the importance that you say of embodiment work for erotic growth, that you can't really get, you say, through normal hookup experiences. What do you mean by embodiment work for erotic growth?
Hmm. Well, it's a big thing. But I would say like, when for instance, you can have it in a hookup. You mentioned some hookups that you're
Yeah,
actually
right.
having this experience, right? But when you're like touching something that's coming from inside of you that's wanting to express itself, kind of like dance, right? When someone's in their dance, zenith, they're not, I don't think they're like calculating, how to be approved of. It's a expression from the inside out. And to do that in eroticism, it's for most of us, it's allowing ourselves to be in contact with and feel places inside of ourselves that we've wanted to abandon because they're scary, or again, like this masculinity. We walk into hookups with a script because
Yeah.
it's comfortable, it's familiar, and it can be really fun, and that's great.
Mhm.
These are not evaluations of that. It's do I want something deeper? And a lot of men are saying like, yeah, I did that, I've done that so many times, that's really fun, and I'm kind of ready for something that
Yeah.
gives me more to chew on, and embodiment work is like, okay, where do I feel that in my body? Where does that take me? For instance, I'll try to keep this brief, but I've been in tantra retreats where I was receiving like impact play, and it took me back to a sensation that I remembered with my dad hitting me. And it was like a strange, like, oh my God, I haven't dissociated like this since I was a little kid. And I remember doing this. And it took me into this place inside of my body where I just like wept and wept and wept and wept. And I saw the little kid, and it was like I could feel like it really wasn't my fault. And that was such a powerful experience.
Wow.
The other
Yeah.
men in the room were all like moaning in pleasure and like, having orgasms. And I was like in a puddle of tears. But that was an example of like a sexual exercise taking me into a place in my body, like the sensation and the impact, and taking me to a real emotional experience that I'd not been able to actually have. And so we can do that in hookups. You just have to have the ability to walk in and be like, this is what I want to do, and kind of name it. But I think the container is important. And so a lot of hookups don't provide a container where you feel safe enough to go into your depths. And
Yeah.
And in the workshops, which is brilliant, is you can work on some of these things, and then you can take what you learned, the tools that you learned, and then bring them into upcoming relationships or even a hookup. But at least you've done
Totally.
the work and you did it in a
Totally.
safe space where if you were balled up in a ball, at least you did it in a safe space where, you had support there.
Support.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's a question. So when you guys check out in sex, like for instance, like everybody has their like, when something's not going right or doesn't feel, I kind of dissociate in my body, or we do what's called spectatoring, watch ourselves from the side of the room, or there's
Yep.
kind of like this numbness in our genitals, where it's like I don't really feel this anymore. What's like
Yeah.
a message from the body that's saying like, hey, what's happening right now is actually not what you really want to be expressing, or there's something that's
Exactly.
happening. So what if we like slow down and tune into that and like what is being expressed right now? Like what is this? For a lot of people, it's
Yeah.
like I feel scared, or I feel like he's gonna reject me, or wow, this feels so good. I feel really vulnerable. I don't want him to like not want me, or it's something like that. And
It's so funny when you said all that, it brought up when I have been in three ways before, and maybe
Mhm.
I just met the other two people, and maybe the last one I was, which was a while ago, the two people, all three of us got into it at the same level of energy, and midway through, two of them started to get more intimate than I was, and I started to feel left out. And so I
Okay.
excused myself and went to the restroom. And when I came back, they were still, and then I was like, okay, I'm out, because I
Yeah.
felt left out, and
Mm.
it was a feeling that I didn't want to ever feel again. And so that's why I've avoided three ways before.
Oh,
Ah.
wow. That's so
Yeah.
interesting.
Because I don't want, everyone wants to be the star in your own sexcapade.
Oh, see, I love this because you know what you could do, brother, is like you could set up a three-way where you intentionally ask the people to like kind of come and go and like practice like naming when you're feeling that like can someone like bring me in, or like I don't know what you might want. Maybe you want some
Right.
attention of some
Yeah.
kind, like and practice, because if you're in a container with guys that care about you and they're like, for sure, dude, we'll do this. You
I
get
like
that
that.
opportunity to expose your nervous system to what's really coming up. But if you're in I just met these sexy dudes and everyone's kind of mystified, like, why'd Steve go to the bathroom? It's like, I feel like you don't get the chance to expose it and integrate it.
Yeah.
And
I
ask for
like
what you really
that.
want. I like that. Yeah. That's so
Cody, did you
great.
have, before
I
we get,
wanted to touch on tantra
yes.
before. I didn't know if we had time, so I wasn't gonna ask it, but I
Go ahead.
definitely
We're keeping
want
him around
to.
because he was giving us great
So,
information
yeah,
here.
I wanna ask a little bit about tantra and how does it differ for what is it exactly, and how does it differ for LGBTQ plus people?
Mm. So great question. Tantra means the weave. And to be honest, it's like, it's such a big thing where people think that there's kind of a mystical power in tantra, right? I personally
Mhm.
don't think that. I think that tantra's got a lot of amazing embodiment tools. It provides like this set of tools to practice embodiment in sex, and it provides a spiritual framework. So a lot of our sex has been cut off from spirituality. We left childhood, many of us, feeling like something's wrong with me, I'm bad, and we have to do a lot of work. A lot of gay guys are like, I'm never going back to a spiritual thought again. That
Right.
doesn't mean that we don't long for that kind of in our psyches. We have the desire to have a religiosity of some kind. It doesn't mean religion. It just means like reverence for the sacred. So tantra provides that for a lot of people. It is different for queer people, I think, because we have to kind of it's getting better, but we have to reinterpret some of the heteronormative imagery and ways of describing things in how does this work in two guys, penetrating each other, when
Okay.
the imagery is like the goddess and the god and the yoni and the lingam, and they're
Yeah.
symbolic, but it is really powerful though, because I do think we need a way to think about spirituality and sexuality together, and that provides a packaged way to do that. Does that
Love it.
answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes me wanna explore it even more.
It's awesome.
Now
Yeah, and no shade on tantra. I love tantra. I just think now, just like with all the different spiritual insights in the world, we keep evolving and changing, and I want it to update to like where we are now on the planet.
Yeah.
So it doesn't
Yeah.
have this whole mysticism that, like, oh, I don't know what that is, and let me just leave it over there. But you did a great job explaining it. I think I love that. We had a
Okay.
question though from Malibu. Asked the question: what is the difference between needing to be? Excuse me. Do random hookups deteriorate our ability to connect sexually,
Oh,
It's a
wow.
sexually
great
and
question.
emotionally? Yeah.
It's a great question. I'd say it depends on the person, right? Like it's gonna be the answer would be as unique as is the person that's experiencing it. So they can, if our hookups are our strategy to not look at ourselves deeply, right? If that's what we're doing so that we don't have to like look at the deeper stuff. But for another person, hookups could be a way of establishing like permission and freedom, or a way to practice with many different like reflection points. And so it
Right.
just kind of depends on the person. I'd say like what's motivating the desire, you know?
I like
Wow,
that.
I love that
And
too.
yeah, we had Cody and I at our meeting found this Reddit thread that we were like, we have to read this to Finn. And they wrote, partners put greater emphasis on sex than I do, and says he always feels rejected, even though I think we have regular sex. Regular sex, according to the writer, is 1 to 3 times a week. We have been together for 3 years. My definition of sex is anything with the intention of getting the other person off. His definition is penetration. If we don't have penetrative sex, he perceives it as we didn't have sex. It's not a numbers game, but it's like he's tallying how much sex we have. When we don't
Mhm.
have sex, it doesn't mean that we are not being affectionate or intimate, but those acts don't seem to be as meaningful to him. How can we compromise? This just seemed like something that a lot of couples go through, that
Mhm.
after a period of
I went through
time.
it.
Okay, yeah, maybe share a
Yeah.
little bit about yours, because everyone's
Me
sex
too.
level is not always on the same. What do you have to say to that when you find yourself in this conundrum?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it's every relationship has some sort of desire discrepancy. Even if there's a period of time in which everyone's like on the same wave and it comes and
Mhm.
goes, and then sometimes it's just like we're in an asymmetrical experience. But what this question, I love this question, like the experience of rejection. It's like he's managing his fear of rejection by needing this person to respond to him sexually. And the deeper
Mm,
work for him is to manage that fear of rejection himself and name what he needs and wants. And they both have a different understanding of what sex actually is. So they have different scripts that they're waiting for the other to enact so
different
that
blueprints, right?
yeah, but there's a whole realm of possibility between them. They just have to kind of be willing to look at the scripts that we hold inside of ourselves are not only what make us excited, but they're also like our comfort zone and the ways that we keep a sense of safety. So it sounds like
Mhm.
outside of that safety, he feels like it's like if I if I'm afraid of being rejected and I have to have my partner respond to me a specific number of times a week, that actually puts me in a position where the contingency is on my partner to make me feel good about myself.
Wow.
And that's not necessarily, even though maybe the sex might be pleasurable sometimes when they have it or many times, but that's not like the basis of their sex is more about validating that need and keeping him from falling into the pit of self-rejection. But pleasure, for pleasure's sake, that could be all kinds of things, and a lot of couples have to relearn all this stuff and like, "Well, what if I don't have the scripts available? What if I do have to
Right.
just ask for what I want?" And then it's like, but people are like, "I don't want to," or "If I have to ask for it, it doesn't really matter." Or like, that's all our personal shit that we have to work through.
Do you,
Wow. What
do you work with couples? Just real
I
quick to
do.
follow up. Okay,
Yeah, I
yeah.
love working with couples to see their eyys go, I'm lying to myself. I'm like,
Are
"Yes,
you looking
that's
at
what
my eyes when
happened."
you said that? Because I am like the entire time you're talking. So thank you so
Oh,
much for this.
Oh, thank you,
Yes.
brother. Oh, it's
Yeah.
also like I've been through a lot of this shit and I still am, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. Did you have a
Yeah.
follow up, Cody?
I did. I wanted to
Yeah.
know about I feel like sometimes people they shut down when it comes to sex. So how can it make it easier for people to open up when it comes to sex, and how can it really like how can but have people become more vulnerable and more open to exploring when it comes to sex, basically?
In like a relational context, like
In a
relationship
relationship,
context?
yes. Yes.
Yeah, because so sex and relationship becomes a place where we start to feel the effect again of these like childhood issues, right? The stuff with our parents, like our fears, they start to surface. And then we're like, oh, and then for many people, like this guy that we just read a moment ago,
Yeah,
sounds like
that's
he
why I
starts to
asked it.
feel the rejection coming up in him and he goes towards sex to try to resolve that fear in himself.
Yeah.
But then other people might actually, as you said, go, here comes the shit coming up. I'll just shut down because shutting down is a kind of control too and a safety. Like sometimes when we feel so overwhelmed, the only thing we can do is shut down to feel like we can manage the stuff that's coming up. So I think for people to how do we open up, we just have to get clear on like, do I really want to grow and work through this stuff? And if so, how can I establish a space of just like willingness with my partner? Like
Yes.
intentionally setting aside time with partners to just, all right, we're just going to be in it together until we kind of move some of this energy and find that we can create a new narrative together that is like me and you are on the same team instead of like it's me against you and kind of that power struggle
Yeah.
around sex. Oh,
It's so
Yeah.
horrible. It's so hard. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is. But then we get to
It
the
is.
point where it's like, okay, can we be on the same team? And then it's like the world can open up. And it's a big
Hey,
shift. It's a felt
amen.
shift. Like, it feels very
Yes,
different when
sir.
a couple's finally like, "Okay, I'm tired of fighting with you about this." But we have to give in our own shit. We have to give in. Like, nobody wants to give in and be like, "Okay, I'm the one that's creating as much of this drama as you are," you know?
Mhm.
And so when couples come in and they wanna get help, there's, like, one partner that's typically the one that's like, "He's the problem, and let me tell you why." And those are the
Wait
ones
a
I'm like
minute,
I'm
are you
usually like,
reading my
"Oh, this
mind?
one is usually the problem, though."
I could see that happening, yeah.
Okay,
Or
all
one of
right.
them, it was their idea to
Thank you
see
for
you.
reading me.
Yeah, right. But I do think it's probably a beautiful thing when finally there's a level playing field where they both are like, "Okay, we really wanna work on this. Finn, take over and or help us out."
It
So,
is, and
yeah.
I love seeing guys get to that point where they're able to, because this is the thing, like, it's so not about sex. I wanna see guys be able to, like, break down. It's like, I love that men put so much energy into appearing strong, right? But then, like, the
Yeah.
strength that it's like comes from, like, being, like, willing to be okay with, like, confronting our own sense of rejection, being okay with, like, confronting our fears, and then that's, like, a different level of strong, and seeing guys take responsibility for their emotions, finally, it's such a
I love
big I
that.
love it. I'm like, "Oh, there he
Take
is, just a little boy."
responsibility for their emotions. Ah.
Finally.
Amen. That needs to be printed out, put
That's right.
everywhere. I love that. Real quick,
Yeah.
before we let you go, we want to talk about your upcoming retreats.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
people can go to Deerhart.com. I'll put that in. But what's in the calendar right now that people can look forward to?
Okay, yeah, so there's a little mini retreat that's happening in, Los Angeles, September 29th through October 1st with Court Vox. You know Court? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Good.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a little, 2-day event, and then there's an event I'm really excited about. It's a little bit further out. It's in October, October 21st through the 27th, and it's called the Tantra Coach Training Program, Teaching with Jason Tantra, and it's designed for people who want to learn how to hold space with eroticism for others. So, like, practitioners that, like, might do, like, erotic massage, or they, even if you're just not a practitioner at all, but you just wanna learn how to, like, how can I enter into a sexual situation and kind of be it's like kind of like an erotic power, right? Like, to, like, open up the space for the other to step in and to, like, access something that's more transcendent with each other, be able to listen more deeply to what this person might need. So, I'm really excited about that one.
That's the one I really want to do
That's
at some
great.
point.
Do
Yeah.
it. Oh my god, do
Yeah.
it.
I
Amazing.
know. I know. I
I wanna
definitely
go
want to.
too.
Yes, I hope
Well,
it's just not what's the dates again? It may coincide with we're supposed to be in Mexico for but what's the dates again on that one?
October 21st through the 27th.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's when we
It's
are
right around that time.
oh, wait, actually, it's
It's
before. I
right
think we can
before.
and where is it?
It's in San Diego.
Okay, Cody, are we doing this before we hit
I
our
we might have
seriously, okay,
to.
we're gonna list all this information. You've told me about this before, and I really wanna tap into that even as a practitioner myself, so
Yeah.
I think I might join this
I
because
would love
yes,
it, brother. Yeah, and
yes,
it's so, like, to kind of, like, learn how to be a sacred intimate. I mean, we're not marketing it in that way because of,
right,
like, legality and all the things around, like, sex work and the gray
sure,
areas, but, there are a lot of people that are doing, like, massage and
right.
want tools to be like, "Let me take this person deeper." I could jack you off, or I could jack you off and, like, touch your soul.
Hey, I like that. They go to the whole festival that we've been talking about. Yeah, exactly. I love it. Okay. Do you want to stick around for our final segment? It's a total
Totally.
it's called Thirst Trap. I think you played it
Yeah.
before with us. I'm
Yeah,
putting
yeah.
it in the chat area, and it's our job every week by Straight Up Gay Porn to pick who got your fancy and why. And typically, this is an audio podcast, so you have to kind of vividly describe. We'll go first because I'll let Kodi go first because he's had a chance to look at it. Kodi, who
You
do you
can go
pick and why?
first. Can you go first?
Okay, yes, I can go first. The
Okay.
one that I picked, there was a couple of them that got my fancy, but the ultimate one was Romeo got D, or if you look at his Twitter, Romeo got Dick. And I think what was really cool is, in addition, he has his hand out. He looks a Latino. He's inviting you into his chair, his not chair actually, it's a sling, that's really hot, and he has a beautiful bush, Kodi, which I'm always joking about you and your bush.
You saw it. You saw it on Tuesday. So.
Beautiful cocoa skin. I love the tats, and I watched a little bit more. I cheated and I watched more of his Twitter. And I want to get in that sling. Is essentially what I want to do and be the next. I don't know, be his next victim, but we'll go with that.
You go ahead and say it. Say it.
Say it.
Say it. Yeah, exactly.
Growth spurt.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to click this link?
Yeah, click the link. We'll let Kodi go next.
Yeah, I'll go now. So first of all, I want to say, see?
Oh, wow.
I was going to say, can I have all of them in my bed so I can test them all out?
I told you this was an about conversation we had, but I know Finn can do this.
Yeah, of course I'll do this.
My vote actually goes to Alex Rosso, and I think we just got Jen in the comments that said Alex Rosso as well. And my main reason for picking him was because I am with a friend, and she said, "That looks like you," and I was like, "Yeah, it does look like me." But he's beautiful. He's standing in front of a mirror taking a selfie. He's got
sounds like you.
A white tee he picked up, and he's got the dick of death. It's like almost to the floor. So.
Ego death, right?
So yeah, that's my pick for the week.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love this ginger guy.
This is gonna be so fun. We just gotta take in the moment that Finn's doing this because I love it.
I love it. So I love this dude with his arms behind his head. I don't know who his name is, but he's got tattoos. The ginger guy. He's got his arm posted up behind his head, and I was like
Horse Long Adam.
Weird. Horse Long Adam.
He's hot.
He's sexy. Yeah, I like his. Yeah, I like his tattoos. I like his cock. I like the way that he's fit, but not super manicured fit. I love his tats.
He was my runner-up, Finn, and when I went to his Twitter account, if you click any of those, it takes you to their Twitter account, and he's all about being a ginger dom, and he talks in that, I know you want that ginger dom dick in your face, and he says stuff like that, and I was like, okay, well,
I do.
He was my runner-up.
I do want the ginger dong. Right now.
I live.
I'm not sure he's in your neck of the woods right now, but if he responds to this, we will. Yeah, exactly. Doug says Elijah Zane, please. Jen, like you said, Kodi says Alex Rosso as well. Thank you for playing. You guys can play at home as well. This will be on TAGSPodcast.com, episode 489. People should follow you, Finn, on where? List all of it.
Now. Please follow. So FinnDeerhart.com. That's FINNDEERHART.com. And there you can link to my other stuff. But one of the things I would love people to follow if they're interested in more of my creative writing would be my Substack. You can link to it off of my website. You just go to the Work With Me tab, and in that there's writing and speaking, and you can find Finn's creative writing. But if you want to go directly to it, it's FinnDeerhart.substack.com.
Cool.
SUBSTAC.
I want to read this. That's great. I mean, beautiful what you wrote in your newsletters, and
it's so enlightening.
Yeah, really beautiful. Beautiful words.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. We'll list all of this on TAGSPodcast.com, episode 489. And Finn, thank you as always. Very enlightening, and you're a beautiful soul, and we appreciate you. So thank you.
Thank you guys. You guys are fucking rocking. I love what you're doing and making these conversations available to people, and just combating the nature of what we were talking about tonight, permission and establishing conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, Finn, we'll bring you back soon, but thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. Hugs.
All right, bye for now. Hugs, yes.
Bye
definitely.
for now. Hugs.
Bye for now.
That is close.
Oh, there you go. You're good.
I got it. Bye, Finn. Love you.
Kodi, great show as always.
Great show. Yes.
Loved it. We have to have him back, and let's talk about that retreat.
Oh, yes.
We could do prior to. Yeah.
So the poll, I want to go to the poll really quick.
Go to the poll.
Everybody said 100% no, it sounds like a shitty situation.
Yeah, I think, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Thanks for voting on that. You can follow Kodi on Instagram. He's a life coach at KMD Coaching, or his personal account at Mr. Maurice. Mr. Maurice. Follow me on Instagram. I am _Steve V. Follow the website, TAGSPodcast.com, and enter to get a giveaway to Vacaya's 2023 Mexico Resort Vacation in Puerto Vallarta from October 29th through November 5th. And one lucky winner will win a trip, but you can also get up to $200 off by using our promo code TAGS, TAGS. All the information is on tagspodcast.com. And in the meantime, continue having hot, gay
Gay
sex.
sex.
Yes, lovely. Nice.